What up, YouTube? So today we'll be discussing whether or not men have it easier than women in life. So without further ado, let's get it.
Why do you apply different standards for a man? And I would argue, maybe because I'm a man, but I would argue the standards you have for men are a lot higher than the standards you would have for a woman. Why do you apply different standards depending on the gender when arguably if you date both, it's actually about the person?
That's a really good point. I think because arguably it's just easier to be a man, and so therefore you're like, well, it's easier for you to get a raise.
Why is it easier to be a man when men...
I mean, the gender pay gap just says it all. And
okay,
it's really
but there's also a gap in, like, men commit suicide more. Men are dropping out of colleges more.
But that's toxic masculinity that men can't speak about.
So then why are we saying that there's, like, a patriarchy when men have it hard too? Like, you just said women have it harder than men, but if women...
I wonder if she knows the definition of toxic masculinity and how is that related to suicide or dropping out of college? How is that correlated?
I don't even think that she even knows what she's talking about. I think she's just spitting off something that somebody else said.
And she's like, oh, that's what that means.
Yeah, because I don't know where the toxic masculinity came from.
Let's see.
Women had it harder than men, then why are more men...
I didn't say they had it harder, I just said it was easier to be a guy.
Okay, if it's easier to be a guy, then why do more men commit suicide?
Because they feel, because of toxic masculinity, which is perpetuated by both men and women, they feel like...
Hang on. I feel like we need to know what toxic masculinity is. Let's see. What is toxic masculinity? Toxic... Okay, here. So toxic masculinity is a set of certain male behaviors associated with harm to society and men themselves.
Okay, so by that definition, she has no idea what she's talking about.
No. Right.
Like they have to be macho, and I don't subscribe to that at all. I'm very much like...
could it be possible that men have a harder life than women?
Yeah, of course it could be possible. Of course it could be.
Okay, so that would contradict what you said earlier.
Exactly.
Well, this is it. It's not black and white. It's not right or wrong.
Yeah.
It's gray area, maybe.
Yeah.
So everything is... There's no very solid... So yeah, that's... And even the whole rule and exception, it's not one size fits all. It's really not. There are some men who thrive and succeed because they're a man, because life is easy. Therefore, I'd be like, I would expect you.
Okay, I'm gonna give you an example. My dad's the top half a percentage of earners. Okay, he's the white man, right? But here's the thing. He worked 80 hours a week my whole life. I didn't get to see him.
Yeah.
How is that like the patriarchy when my dad put in 80 hours every week his whole life? From the time I was a child, right? Missed a lot of shit.
That is so sad. And I feel like a lot of families are like that. And even me personally, my dad, he worked a lot. But when he was present, he was present. But yeah, I can correlate.
Like, he earned that.
Yeah.
And I'm never going to say that's the patriarchy.
Well, the only way we can...
But now he's a white male CEO.
Yeah.
Right? So is that the patriarchy, or did women not choose to do that?
Well, that's the only way we could argue is the only... definitive answer you could have is if you had a exact female replica to be like, she likely would not get where he is. That's the only way we could argue it.
Right,
but it doesn't take away from his efforts. It doesn't take away from that.
So then why do we talk about it at all? If you have no idea why there's a pay gap?
Yeah.
Is it possible that it's the industries that women pick? Because if you look at countries that have more choice, so if you go to the most egalitarian countries, there's more of a pay gap rather than less, because women choose jobs with people and men choose jobs with objects. So
okay, so with talking about the pay gap, my understanding, I personally didn't do a lot of research on it, but I thought that they were talking about people within the same industry, same position, same everything. But from what she's saying, it's just saying men just are paid more than women, no matter what the industry is.
Right. See, we don't know, and again, I haven't done the research my own self, so I would think they just pulling together just the general incomes from both men.
That wouldn't make sense, because then you can't really get a true data, because I think what should be done, and I think we've talked about this before, is looking at two people, same everything, experience, company, and everything, are they getting paid more over the other?
Right.
Then I think then we can have a discussion of one person is getting paid over the other, and it's like prejudice.
Right. And that would have to be all things being equal, because we also have another point that you get your money during your interview process.
Like discussing it.
Yeah, you discuss it, negotiations, all that type of stuff is during the interview process. So if you're not doing your due diligence, or if you just don't have the proper credentials, but even if you do have the proper credentials, if your mouthpiece is not up to par and you can't persuade your salary, then that also can be a difference. So it's very hard to prove the gender pay gap, because every situation is different. You know, also the mood of the people that's doing the interviewing. We don't know the exact time. Maybe that economy, or maybe the temperature of that business might have been booming at the time, or maybe it wasn't so booming whereas though their budget can actually,
I see what you mean.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard. There's too many variables to actually put a actual number on it.
I'm from a family of 10. All the boys are engineers. None of the girls are engineers. Like, is it possible it's a biological difference rather than a patriarchy?
No, I think the pay gap is more like within, so I don't know if you saw on International Women's Day, they had a bot that literally showed you the pay gap within organizations. So obviously women will tend to go for things like being a nurse, being a teacher, and they pay a lot less than being a financer.
Correct.
And
Yes.
So what is her argument then? Because now she's contradicting herself.
Well, I think she's going into, like, maybe whatever example she's about to share, maybe it's within that same company.
Well, that's what she said.
Let's see.
But that's what she said. She said in the same company, it was a gender pay gap, but then she also just said that women will go for more of the lesser paying roles because it was more social.
Yeah.
Yes.
But the pay gap then exists so a lot of things where there's a lot of male actors who will be like, I will not sign on to this contract unless I know my female counterparts are being paid the same. And so I think the pay gap then comes,
well, it's also the trait. It's also the trait, like, disagreeableness. So as women, like, we're naturally more agreeable.
100%.
So I'm terrible at negotiating. I just want to make everyone happy, and I just want to be like, yeah, I'll do whatever for nothing. But that's like, men are more disagreeable if you look at the agreeability scale. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So again, like, why do we just assume patriarchy when you don't know if it's because of different personality traits and gender differences?
Yeah. No, and gender, they are so real. So in my studies, it showed that men are more likely to go for, so let's say there's a job, and a woman is more likely to look at a job specification and go, oh, but she's more likely to say no to herself, and she's more likely to go, oh, I don't know if I'm good enough.
Yeah.
Whereas a man is more likely to actually inflate their ability and be like, I'm going to go for that. And it actually reflects in relationships where a man is more likely to actually shoot above and be like, I can.
Yes.
So it's a reason where you see a lot of less attractive men with more attractive women. The women are more likely to be like I spent a lot of my life being like, I'm a 4 out of 10. I'm probably about a 7. But I spent a lot of my life dating men, and people would be like, Amy, that guy is not in your league. Like, why do you not? And they're like, they're definitely like, out, like, you're out of their league. And it's actually, there's a real gender difference. And is that biological? Is it social?
Right there, that's because men and women value different things. Men value looks more. Women don't value looks as much. They value things like social status, like a blue check mark. A blue, and this is, I've dated a guy with a blue check mark, right? Like, we like social status.
Yeah, like, we'd be lying if we said we didn't care.
Or whatever it is. Like, it could be.
That is going to feed you.
Hey, bro. My man, take the mic and say what you gotta say. My man ain't get a word in edgewise.
He's trying to be, like,
he's trying
courteous.
To be polite, man. Yes. Take that mic. She had enough time, man. Say what you gotta say.
Height, right? It could be, maybe he's not as good looking facially, but he's tall.
He makes money.
Or he makes money.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's why we see there's a gap in that.
Yeah.
But we don't scream patriarchy for, like, men.
Yeah.
Like,
but then we don't know. That's it. We don't know. Is it because of? So you've got the biopsycho.
His hand is like.
Grab the mic, man. Grab the mic.
He's about to do it. Let's let it go.
Social approach, which is what I tend to subscribe to, because that's it. It's not easy to be like, oh, it's just biology, or it's just sociology, or it's just your personal.
But my question is I just don't even understand, like, in this day and age, how we are fighting the patriarchy. Like, what more can they do? I can do any job I want. Like, nothing has ever stopped me from doing anything.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
like, I don't even know.
Like,
I don't even know what I need feminism for now. Like, I can't think of one thing.
I have a question going back to what you said, and I think it's valid, but I want to give you a scenario. So you said originally that the reason you arguably apply a higher standard to men is because you felt life was easier for them, so it's easy. You should expect more from them, or they have advantages, right? More so.
You know what? I feel like she's sitting there. She's not even sure what she's asking, because every time her opinion is challenged, she doesn't defend it. She's just like, oh, yeah, well, yeah, you're right. Oh, yeah.
And it goes back to what they were just saying earlier, that women are more agreeable, so I guess she's just trying to agree, maybe.
Yeah.
But I don't think she's fully firm in her beliefs, and or she hasn't researched it enough to have a solid rebuttal.
Factual.
Yeah, to have a solid rebuttal. So if she's saying something, if he's saying something that sounds better than what she's saying, she's just automatically agreeable because she don't even know what the hell she talking about.
So than women, right? So my question then is, would you apply a higher standard to a white woman over, for example, a black male?
Yeah.
You would?
Yeah, I would.
Really? So you would expect the white woman to earn a certain amount, to be taller than you, to make you feel protected, and to be able to provide for you more so than if you were getting to know a black man?
Wow, see, listen, my man. It took you a while to grab the mic, but when you grabbed that mic, you made a solid ass point. That was a good point. I never even thought about that question before. That was good.
Dang.
Yeah.
Then it's the intersection between race and gender, but that's it. As a westernized white woman, I'm well aware of my privilege. And it's like, I know that, it depends on, that's it. It depends on, it's tough. It's
because I'll be honest, like, I think women just always apply a higher standard to men than women because they're men regardless of what race they are.
So say, like, we go for a job interview, and it's
wait, you're non-binary. Me and him.
Yeah.
Who you dating?
That's it. It really, like,
who you picking?
Yeah, exactly.
He probably makes more money than me.
Yeah, but then being a female, I'd probably be like, is money my most important, or is it emotional connection and how funny you are? Like, it would depend on what. As a woman, I think I would. I don't know. That's it. Would I, well, as a woman that doesn't necessarily want kids anytime soon and is quite financially independent, I probably wouldn't be like, money probably wouldn't be my priority. So then I'd be like, well, physical attractive would come into it, but then funny, compassion.
Okay,
so it's really, but that's it. It's really hard. It's really hard to be like, no, but it's really hard to be like, is it just money? Is it protection? Because I'm also quite scrappy, so I can hold my own as well. I don't want a man to protect me because I'll fight.
Do you think you could fight me?